Welcome, everyone. If you're just joining us, we're going to get started in just a minute. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone, to the Vendor Pre-Bid Solicitation Conference for the Hewlett-Packard HP branded hardware, software, cloud, and related services, otherwise known as RFO 589. Before we get started, can everybody please raise their hand to confirm that they can hear me? Perfect. Thank you so much. Go ahead and lower those. I would like to remind everyone that they can switch audio between their computer audio and their phone call. The attendees will be muted. Please submit all questions via Q&A. The chat will be disabled. And I would like to remind everyone that the handout will be available in the addendum. I will now turn it over to Julia.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Julia Klingeman, and I'm the procurement lead for this RFO. Our other speakers today will be Alexis Jimerson, Marie Cohen, and Teresa Williamson. Thank you for joining today. Next slide, please. On the agenda today, we'll be reviewing the RFO overview, the RFO contents, the RFO scope, the evaluation criteria, the term of contracts, the schedule, hub, EIR accessibility. Then we will follow up with the general information, bid stamp vendor information system portal overview, the pricing sheet, the mandatory submissions, and then we will take a short break, then come back for questions, and then conference closing. Next slide. RFO overview. The purpose of this RFO is to solicit responses from potential vendors to provide HP branded hardware, software, cloud, and related services to the state of Texas, acting by and through the Department of Information Resources. Resoliciting, the purpose of this request, this will serve as a resolicitation of RFO DIR TSO TMP 417. DIR may make multiple awards from this RFO. Next slide, please. This is a quick historical sales through the Cooperative Contracts Program, and the below table is an overview of the HP sales fiscal year, by fiscal year. Next slide, please. This is going to be going over the RFO contents. So the RFO contents will include Exhibit A, respondent information, Exhibit A1, expectations, Exhibit B, respondent history and experience, Exhibit C, contract marketing and support plan, Exhibit D, hub subcontracting plan, sample form, the Exhibit E, pricing sheet. Next slide. Exhibit F, reference form. Exhibit G, respondent release of liability. Exhibit H, Edgar certification form. Exhibit I, policy-driven adoption for accessibility for vendor self-assessment. Exhibit J, volunteer product accessibility template. And Exhibit K, vendor accessibility development services information request. Next slide. Exhibit A and B. Exhibit A, respondent information. This form must be filled out in its entirety and signed by an officer or agent empowered empowered to contractually bind the respondent. Complete canceled contract references if applicable. Exhibit A1, expectations. Under Exhibit A, Item 13, respondent will indicate whether or not it has any exceptions. If yes, the respondent will fill out this form as instructed in Exhibit A, Items 13A through 13G. Exhibit B, respondent history and experience. Respondent must provide a detailed response to each question detailing the respondent's history and experience in providing the products and services. Make sure to fill out Exhibits A, B, and C and D. For Exhibits A, B, and C, follow the instructions complete and thoroughly. Exhibit A contains mandatory information such as the DUNS number needed for financial review. If a respondent does not provide a DUNS number as a result of a financial review cannot be completed, then the proposal will be rejected. So please make sure you provide the correct information. Exhibits B and C are scored, so please complete that thoroughly with information related to the scope of this RFO. Next slide, please. Exhibits C, D, and E. Exhibit C, contract marketing and customer support plan. Respondents provide a detailed response to each question describing the respondent's ability and strategy for promoting and supporting the contract if awarded. Exhibit D, historical utilized business form sample. Respondents must provide HSP form as instructed in section 3.4.1 subcontracting plan. Vendors must download the latest form using the link provided under this section. Exhibit E is your itemized pricing sheet. Respondents will complete the itemized pricing sheet. Respondents must complete any or all tabs which are applicable to their proposal. Next slide, please. Exhibits F, G, and H. Exhibit F, if vendor references, respondent must send the Exhibit F reference form to a minimum of 3 companies or a government agency. References must be responded to DIR on the form provided by the due date in order to be considered for evaluation. Respondent may not submit the reference form to DIR. Please make sure that you do not submit this on their behalf. It has to come from your references. Next slide, please. Exhibit I. PDAA, respondent must complete the policy-driven adoption for accessibility for vendors self-assessment. Exhibit J, VPAT, the voluntary product accessibility template is used for product confirmation with a WCAG. A completed VPAT or accessibility confirmation report must be provided for each product offering. Exhibit K, vendor accessibility development services information request. VADSIR. Respondent must provide a completed VADSIR for all proposed development services where applicable. Next slide. RFO scope. Section 2.0 scope. DIR intends to contract with the successful respondent to provide HP branded hardware, software, cloud, and related services. It is the responsibility of the respondent to ensure the products and or services proposed are within the scope of this RFO. Respondents may submit products and value-added services in the following areas, but not limited to Section 2.1.1 HP branded products. HP branded products include products which are manufactured, produced, or published by or carry the brand of HP or majority-owned subsidiary of an HP entity. HP branded products which may be proposed by respondents include but are not limited to the following: HP servers, HP software, HP systems, HP applications, HP middleware, and HP storage. Next slide, please. Section 2.1.2, related services. Related services are those services that respondent may perform related to HP branded products as discovered in RFO Section 2.1.1, related services. Related services may be sold separately from products. Related services which may be proposed by respondent include, but are not limited to, the following: product support for HP products, installation of HP products, C, integration of HP products, maintenance of HP products, managed services for HP products, product training for HP products. G, comparable value-added services as designated by the manufacturer of HP products. Next slide. Section 2.1.3 are HP clouded services. DIR intends to contract to provide HP branded cloud services for customers to use. These cloud services follow the National Institute of Standards of Technology definition of cloud computing found in NIST Special Publication 800-145. Each DIR customer determines when cloud services are appropriate for their business needs and identifies the precise services to be utilized, then create plans for implementation. More information included in the RFO document. Next slide, please. RFO scope. Section 2.1.4, third-party products. The only third-party products within the scope of this RFO are third-party software products that are embedded, integrated, or installed within HP branded products at the time of purchase. Third-party software cannot be sold separately from HP products under this RFO. Third-party hardware and paraphernals are not within scope of this RFO. Third-party products that are not within scope may not be proposed by respondents. Permissible third-party products may be proposed as an option and will be awarded at the discretion of DIR. Any respondent offering third-party products must submit a description of those products and the related pricing on DIR's automated pricing form in the bid. Respondents may incorporate changes to their authorized third-party products offerings. However, any changes must be within the scope described in this section. By listing a third-party manufacturer brand and proposing a pricing discount % off MSRP, the respondent attests that it has the authorization from the manufacturer to resell the product on a resulting DIR contract. At any time prior to contract award and during the contract term, DIR may require a letter of authorization from the manufacturer stating that the respondent has the authorization to sell that manufacturer's products and or that the respondent has a certification to provide the related services on a DIR contract. Next slide, please. Section 2.2, exclusions out of scope. The following products and services are not in the scope of this RFO. A, custom application development services. B, deliverables-based information technology services. C, cloud assessment services. D, professional consulting services as defined in Chapter 2254 of the Texas Government Code. E, out-of-scope products including third-party hardware and cannot say that word, sorry. Third-party software that is not embedded, integrated, or installed within HP branded products at the time of purchase. The state of Texas prohibited software applications developers, manufacturers, list posted at the below link. Next slide, please. We'll be reviewing the evaluation criteria. Evaluation criteria, pass or fail criteria. Administrative review. Exhibit A, completed and signed, completed PDAA self-assessment, VPATs and VASIR when applicable, Hub subcontracting plan completed and signed, financial review. Respondent shall provide an accurate DUNS number on line item 3 of Exhibit A, respondent information. Respondent's financial stability as reported by Dun and Bradstreet. Please note, Dun and Bradstreet corporate address needs to match the address on Exhibit A, item 6, principal place of business. Please make sure the company name matches what is on bid stamp, Duns and Bradstreet, and Exhibit A. When using a DMB, please make sure it shows all registrations required on the Duns, Exhibit A, Financial Tax, Secretary of State, and bid stamp. Company addresses also need to match on all required registrations. Please make sure that is definitely correct on all those registrations. Next slide. RFO section 4.1, evaluation of responses. Incomplete response package will be rejected. The evaluation review and HSP review are on a pass-fail basis. Failure to provide a DUNS number may result in your response being disqualified. Only responses that receive the passing grade will proceed to the next evaluation phase. RFO section 4.2.2, weighted evaluation criteria. Exhibit B, respondent history and experience is 30%. Exhibit C, contract marketing and customer support plan is 30%. Exhibit E, itemized pricing sheet is 40%. Next slide, please. The contract. We'll review term of the contract. Section 2.7, term of contract. DIR anticipates that the initial term of the contract will be up to 2 years with one optional 2-year renewal and one optional 1-year renewal to be exercised by DIR at its discretion. Section 2.8, option to extend. The successful respondent agrees that DIR may require continued performance for up to 90 days beyond the initial or any renewal contract term within described services at the rate specified in the contract. Next slide. Contract website requirements. Section 7 of the contract document. In addition to the requirements listed in Appendix A, Section 7.2, Internet access to contract and purchasing information. Successful respondent shall include the following with its webpage: a current price list or mechanism to obtain specific contract pricing, MSRP, list price, or DIR contract price, discount percentage off MSRP or list price, warranty policy, return policy. Next slide, please. The RFO schedule. This is the current solicitation schedule. It was published on ESBD on March 27th. Today is the webinar in which we are in now. The questions are also due today by 5 p.m. Central Time. The deadline for DIR to receive vendor references and the deadline for submitting responses to the RFO is May 22nd, 2024 at 2 p.m. Central Time. Evaluations of responses, oral presentations, if requested, negotiations and contract execution will be started May 22nd or until completed, May 22nd. I will now hand over to Teresa Williamson to go over the Hub subcontracting plan. Teresa?
Thank you, Julia. My name is Teresa Williamson. I'm the Hub Program Manager. We're going to discuss the importance of submitting a completed signed Hub subcontracting plan. Next slide. All vendors, Hub and non-Hub, will complete and sign a Hub subcontracting plan, also known as an HSP. Please visit this link that's provided for you for the most current approved copy of the Hub subcontracting plan. You will be required to download the HSP form and complete it. Please do not modify this document as an editable copy. Please no exporting. We are required to keep it in its original form. Next slide. All respondents, Hub and non-Hub, again, are required to submit and complete and sign an HSP. Failure to submit a completed signed HSP will cause your response to be rejected, and you will not move forward with this solicitation. This is a pass or fail document, so please be aware of that. There are 3 ways to complete an HSP. The first is that you will meet or exceed the Hub goal assigned to this RFO and complete method A with attachment A. The second is to meet the Hub goal or not meet the Hub goal and complete method B with attachment B. This does include a good faith effort. And the third is to self-perform. Next slide. The Hub goal for this RFO is 21.1%. If your proposed subcontracting meets or exceeds the 21.1% Hub goal, you'll complete method A. Be sure to identify all Hub and non-Hub vendors that you will be subcontracting with, include the anticipated dollar amounts and the expected percentages. So if you're completing your method A, you'll complete sections 1, 2, 4 in the method A, attachment A. Please do not forget to sign and date your HSP in section 4. If you are going to subcontract below the Hub goal, you'll complete method B, with attachment B. Be sure to solicit a minimum of 3 Hub certified companies and 2 minority trade organizations. With the method B good faith effort, you must allow your outreach and allow the vendors, the Hub certified vendors and the trade organizations 7 working days to respond to you prior to the due date of this RFO. Include your outreach to these entities with your HSP submission. So you will complete sections 1, 2, 4, and method B, attachment B. Don't forget to include those approximate dollar amounts and the percentages. Please allow yourself plenty of time to complete your method B good faith effort. Please remember that the day that you send out your correspondence is considered day 0. I have seen many companies submit an incomplete method B good faith effort and fail the process because of it. So please give yourself plenty of time to follow through with the instructions that are given to you when completing this method. And of course, the third method is to self-perform. So if you will be self-performing, you will complete sections 1, 2, 3, and 4. In your self-performing justification, you'll identify how your company will fulfill this contract with its own staff, equipment, and resources. Please don't say that you'll subcontract in the future or if you need to. Just simply tell us how you will self-perform a contract should you be awarded. Our contact information is here. We will provide you a complimentary review of your HSP prior to the due date as time permits. You must contact us no later than 10 business days prior to the due date of this RFO. Please take advantage of this complimentary review. And remember, when you're corresponding with the Hub office, to make sure that you are including the procurement lead, which is Julia, on all correspondence. Next slide. And turn it over to Marie. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marie Cohan. I am the Statewide Digital Accessibility Program Administrator, and I'm going to walk you through the digital accessibility forms, which are exhibits I, J, and K. Next slide, please. So the state of Texas is committed to providing accessible technology to all citizens. Digital accessibility refers to the inclusive practice of designing and building technology that removes barriers for people with disabilities. This is also termed as electronic and information resources, or EIR, and information and communications technology, or ICT. Both of those fall under the umbrella of digital accessibility. Texas Government Code Chapter 2054 stipulates the requirements for following or providing accessible technology. And we have those detailed out in TAC 206 and TAC 213. And we also follow the World Wide Web Consortium's Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. The state of Texas baseline is 2.0 AA as our standard. However, our state agencies are allowed to have a higher standard. And right now, 2.1 AA has been adopted by other states. Next slide, please. So there are 3 types of documentation that go with the digital accessibility section of your response. Not all of these may apply, but I'll go through all of them so you understand what each one is for. The policy-driven adoption for accessibility, or PDAA, is a vendor self-assessment, and this is a mandatory form. I'm not sure if they mentioned it earlier, but I will say that all of these forms are scored as part of the pass-fail section of the evaluation criteria. If your PDAA is not submitted, or if it has a score of 0, it could result in disqualification. The Accessibility Conformance Report, or ACR, is a completed voluntary product accessibility template, and I'll go into more detail on that. And that is for all products. The Vendor Accessibility Development Services Information Request, or VADSR, is a form for development services which are not in scope for this particular solicitation. Next slide, please. So the policy-driven adoption for accessibility is an assessment of your internal accessibility practices, specifically around digital accessibility. This document has nothing to do with the products or services in your response. This is strictly a self-assessment of you as an organization and how you have adopted digital accessibility practices. It's an Excel file with scoring of 0 to 3, and you'll just go through and answer those questions that relate to your organization and how you do business and how accessibility is incorporated into your practices. This is a NASCIO-sponsored document. We do follow the maturity matrix that NASCIO provided, and this document it can be a tool that you can use as a roadmap to improving your digital accessibility maturity. Again, this is a required form, regardless of your product or service offering. If the form is missing or has a score of 0, it could result in a disqualification and it will get a failing score. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. This is the PDAA maturity matrix. So you can see there are 3 main levels on the progression. So we have a launch level, an integrated level, and an optimized level. Can you go back 1 slide, please? Thank you. So again, once you complete the PDAA assessment and see where your scoring falls, this will help you to see where you can improve your digital accessibility practices within your organization. So this is a helpful tool for you all. It is also a helpful tool for the state of Texas to just understand where the organization is at on its own accessibility maturity journey. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to move to the Accessibility Conformance Report, or ACR. This is a report that is created when you test your product against the WCAG success criteria and standards, and you complete the voluntary product accessibility template demonstrating how your product conformed to those specific success criteria. So you can go to the WCAG site and see what the different standards are and what the expected success criteria are for testing when you test your product or when the manufacturer tests their product. They can document how the product conforms. They can provide an explanation for any gaps in fully supported performance. And then they will submit that report to us as part of the response. That final report is considered an accessibility conformance report. A ACR is required for each product listed in your response. So when you complete your pricing sheet and list out all of the products in your response, including your cloud products, you'll want to have an accessibility conformance report for each of those. We evaluate a sample of up to 10 if there are over 10 products listed. Next slide, please. Thank you. So these are the sections of the VPAT. They are broken into 4 categories: perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. These are the different requirements for technology. Each of those sections also has additional standards on there, and each of those standards will have the expected success criteria. All of this can be found on the internet if you go to the WCAG site, and you have an explanation of it provided in your packet for the VPAT template. Next slide, please. So when a product is tested, you will document how that particular feature conformed to the expected success criteria. So it will either support with exceptions, it will not support, or it's not applicable for some reason, or it was not evaluated because it fell under the AAA category. If you have anything that supports with exceptions or does not support, please provide an explanation. If those fields are left blank, it will impact your score. Next slide, please. So I'll go through this section very quickly because it is out of scope for the project or for the solicitation. But on the chance that there is a request for any kind of development services, you'll understand that you will have to complete this form at some point during the contract life cycle. So this is a form that is specific to development services, not to a product. You'll go through and complete the questions and then just submit the form based on your development life cycle, how your developers are trained with regard to digital accessibility, what kind of training have they done, how do they track errors and exceptions, etc. So next slide, please. So this is just an example of the form. Next slide, please. And next slide, please. DIR now offers digital accessibility training for all of our vendors that are responding to technology solicitations. This is free for the vendors. Anyone in the vendor organization can sign up if they would like to learn more about digital accessibility. Each of these courses is about 45 minutes to 60 minutes to complete. One is an introduction to digital accessibility, so basically a general digital accessibility 101. The other 3 classes are specific to doing business in the state of Texas and responding to Texas solicitations. If you would like to sign up for this free training, you can contact me at statewide.accessibility@dir.texas.gov and copy the procurement lead with your request to access that training. Anytime you reach out to me with a question around accessibility or any of these documents or requesting training, always make sure to copy the procurement lead on those emails. And I believe that's Julia for this particular solicitation. Next slide, please. We have additional information on our website that you can access if you have additional questions. Next slide, please. And I believe that concludes my section of the presentation. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll hand it back over to Julia.
Thank you, Marie. Okay, so general information. Reference the RFO page number section when submitting questions. Webinar participants may submit questions electronically at any time during the webinar. Please use the question tab. And questions answered today are unofficially until posted on ESBD in the form of an addendum. Check the ESBD often for updates. All questions regarding this RFO must be submitted in writing through the Bidstamp Vendor Information System portal. I am going to submit a addendum sometime today, to extend the the deadline for the questions to April 15th at 5 p.m. I just wanted to let you know that I realize that you probably need a couple more days to be able to review after this meeting, to be able to submit your, in case you have more questions. So I will adjust that and submit a addendum, hopefully by today, and so that you can have the addendum and check it off and sign it, send it back in for April 15th, sorry, at 5 p.m. will be the deadline for all questions. Next slide, please. Disqualification of offers. Failure to sign respondent information form, Exhibit A. Failure to complete financial information, DUNS number. Failure to complete and sign historical utilized business subcontracting plan. Failure to complete and submit Exhibit E, itemized pricing sheet. Failure to complete and submit Exhibit I, policy-driven adoption for accessibility. Failure to submit on or before due date and time. Contact with DIR employees regarding this RFO other than the designated contacts. Disqualification. Delivery of offers. Any vendor responding to this RFO must submit their response through the bid portal. Next slide, please. Respondents and all respondent representatives shall not attempt to discuss the contents of this RFO with any employee or representatives of DIR other than designated contacts. Failure to observe this restriction may result in disqualification of any related response. Next slide. In this slide, this is the general information of contacts who you can get in contact regarding the RFO. Will be myself, and you can reach me at my email address. Also, I will be the contact for Vendor Information Systems portal Bidstamp questions, and you can reach me at my email that is listed here. For Hub Subcontracting Plan, you can reach Teresa Williamson at the emails listed here. Next slide. I will hand over to Alexis Jimerson to go over the Vendor Information System portal, Bidstamp. Alexis?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alexis Jimerson. I'll be going over the Vendor Information Systems portal, or Bidstamp. Next slide. DIR uses an e-procurement system known as VIS Bidstamp, and all responses must be to this RFO must be submitted through the Bidstamp portal. Before users can access any of the Bidstamp VIS portal functionality, they will be required to provide login credentials to access a new or existing account. Vendors will access the account via the link on the screen and enter their access credentials. If you do not yet have login credentials, you will request one by clicking on "Are you a vendor?" and "Need to request an account" button that is located within the login page. You may view the video on how to set up your Bidstamp account on the link listed on the slide. Please note, if you have previously created a Bidstamp account, you can use the same account. If you have not previously created a Bitstamp account or your account information has changed, i.e. your email, business name, you will need to create a new account. Since this is not an automatic approval process, please allow 2 business days for your account to be approved. This means you cannot wait until the day the responses are due to try and set up your Bitstamp account. So we always urge you, if you think you want to respond to this, then you need to set up your request your login credentials as far in advance as possible. You will need to plan and make sure that you have received your login credentials prior to the due date for the RFO. If you have not received your Bitstamp login credentials, please contact the point of contact listed in the RFO. For this RFO, it will be Julia Klingeman. The link in this slide will take you to a video on how to set up your Bitstamp account, as I previously stated. So we will not click on that link to go through the video in this presentation. Next slide. Anybody with a disability who needs accommodation under the Americans with Disabilities Act or ADA and responding to this solicitation may contact DIR through the procurement lead, which her contact information is also listed in section 3.1 of the solicitation document. Please allow at least 5 business days for a response. Again, we urge you, if you need an accommodation of this sort, please do not wait until the last minute to contact DIR to request your accommodation. Next slide. This screen shows you how to navigate to the Bitstamp vendor login from DIR's homepage. You will see there is a selling through DIR link that is pointed out, and this is where you will click on that link and you will be taken to the next page. Next slide. Here you will go to, after clicking on the selling through DIR link, you will be directed to this landing page and you will select schedule of solicitation opportunities and scroll down the web page for further information. Next slide. The vendor Bitstamp guide is posted on DIR's website on the schedule of solicitation opportunities page. The link is listed on the screen. You will select the Bitstamp online solicitation portal to navigate to the next screen. Once your account is enabled and you have received your Bitstamp credentials, you may be able to log into the Bitstamp VIS portal via this screen right here. The link to the portal is pictured on the screen. The portal allows up to 5 users. You must use the login credentials that you received after you set up your Bitstamp account in order to log in. So if you do not have a Bitstamp account currently and you try to log in through this portal, it will not allow you to, because you have to have your credentials set up first. Next slide. Once you have logged in with your provided credentials, this is the page that you will come to. You will click on Open Solicitations to be guided to the open solicitations that DIR has for response. Next slide. This page will show you all of the RFOs that are open to receive responses. For this RFO, you will navigate to and select DIR CPO TMP 589 for the solicitation you want to respond to, and you will be navigated to the RFO number detail page. Next slide. On the screen now is the RFO detail page. This page will display important deadlines for the solicitation and list any questions that you as the vendor have submitted. Please pay attention to the date and timestamp that responses are due. All times are Central Standard Time. Allow yourself enough time for technical issues. Once the date and time have passed, Bitstamp will no longer allow you to submit your response, even if you are in the middle of submitting a response. So please plan accordingly. A helpful tip to mention while we're talking about submitting responses is that the RFO gives you a naming convention on how to name your documents when loading them into Bitstamp. Please follow the naming convention. Failure to follow the naming convention may result in you using special characters or having too many characters in the file name. The system will not accept them. It will give you an error and prevent you from uploading your documents. So please review the RFO for the naming convention for documents that need to be submitted so you do not run into this problem while you're trying to upload your response. Next slide. Continuing creating a new response. The RFO number detail button descriptions are listed here on the screen. The button that says respond to a solicitation or view response creates a new response, allows you to view the response that is in progress. If a response has already been created or started, this button will read as view response and allow you to resume your progress on an existing RFO response. The Ask a Question button submits a question to be reviewed by a DIR resource. In this case, that resource will be the procurement lead, Julia. Questions can be submitted up until the question submission deadline, indicated in the RFO document and on the detail page. The Subscribe to a Solicitation button. You will click this button to subscribe to the solicitation if you would like to receive addendum notifications. To subscribe to the solicitation, you must select Subscribe to the solicitation and have enabled your contact to receive notifications. If you do not enable your contact to receive notifications, but you subscribe to the solicitation, you still will not receive the notification. So please make sure you do both of those things in tandem. The View Solicitation Documents button. That will navigate you to the ESBD posting or the Electronic State Business Daily website for the solicitation and to view the solicitation documents. The solicitation documents are not contained in the Bitstamp portal. As a reminder, the ESBD is the official location for all response materials for the RFO. Please check the ESBD for addendums to the RFO posting throughout the open solicitation process. Next slide. This next page points out the RFO response page buttons. The delete button will delete all information that has been uploaded and the response record before the response has been submitted. Please note, once the response is submitted, the vendor must use the withdraw button that will appear upon solicitation submission if you need to change anything. The submit button submits the response record and all associated information. Ask a question button submits a question. Questions can be submitted again up until the question submission deadline date indicated in the RFO document and on the detail page. And just a reminder that Julia has already stated she will be extending the deadline and an addendum will be posted. Create the pricing form button. This will create your pricing form to submit pricing information for your response. New RFO response documents. This will upload required files indicated in the RFO posted to the ESBD. and new vendor references. So you may submit a new references email address and opt to send the vendor reference through the Bitstamp portal. We do not recommend that if you want to track the response, because you cannot track it through the system. So you are allowed to submit your or request your vendor references from your clients through email. You do not have to use the Bitstamp portal to do that. I'm going to mention again, it is highly recommended that you name the required response documents exactly the same as they are named in the naming convention in the RFO. One, so you do not miss loading a required document, but also to prevent technical issues in loading your document. It is also strongly recommended that you load documents in the format that they were provided as exhibits in the RFO, i.e. if we posted a Word document, please give it back to us in Word. If we posted Excel, please give it back in Excel. Many times when you're converting a document to PDF, it will truncate the document, leaving off important information that is needed for the response document to be considered complete. In addition, if you are using an electronic signature function, please ensure that there is a valid electronic signature and not just a typed name in the signature field. If you are not able to include a valid verified electronic signature on the pages where signature is required, please print out that page, ink sign it, and upload a copy to the Bitstamp portal. Again, I cannot stress enough, the biggest problem that our respondents run into when trying to upload their responses is they are not following the proper file naming convention, and the system will not let you upload your response. Usually it's because your file name is too long. So please, please, we gave you the file naming convention so that you do not run into that issue. Next slide. Next, we'll go over Exhibit E, itemized pricing sheet. Next slide. For the purposes of obtaining pricing and evaluating the responses to this RFO, the hardware, software, cloud, and related service, if any, shall be priced and discounted in the Excel spreadsheet attached as Exhibit E pricing sheet. Respondents must respond as follows to the Exhibit E pricing sheet for each hardware, software, cloud, and/or related service that the respondent wishes to be evaluated for under this RFO. Failure to respond as instructed may result in the respondent's response being disqualified from further evaluation. Products and services pricing for the purposes of this RFO, there are 3 tabs identified below that are in Exhibit E pricing sheet. Respondents shall complete any or all tabs which are applicable to their proposal. Please view the instructions in tab in Exhibit E pricing sheet for completing each task. This pricing sheet is separated into sections. Tab 1 has the instructions. Tab 2 has the brand product detail. Please note, please do not change the formulas. Please be sure to copy and paste formula when adding lines. Next slide. Please note to double check your formulas and do not change the spreadsheet format. Tab 3 is volume discounts. DIR encourage respondents to offer volume discount or discount for specific services on this spreadsheet. The respondent may propose by product or service, category, brand, or any group of product services that is applicable to the respondent's pricing structure if the discount off MSRP is the same for that product or service group, category, or group of products and services. The DIR customer price shall include all shipping, handling fees, and the DIR administrative fee. Mandatory submissions. Listed below are the mandatory response files. The respondents must provide the items listed below. Exhibit A, which must be signed. Exhibit A, which contains a listing of any canceled contracts, if applicable. Exhibit A1, any exceptions requested, or an affirmative statement the respondent takes no exceptions. Exhibit B, respondent history and experience. Exhibit C, contract marketing and contract support plan. Exhibit D, your hub subcontracting plan, or HSP. Exhibit E is the itemized pricing sheet. Exhibit F is your reference form. Vendor references must be submitted by customers through the RFO email provided in the RFO. Please note there are no exceptions to signature on Exhibit A. In addition to the required vendor certifications that must be acknowledged, the signature on Exhibit A is what allows your company to attest the person signing the response has the authority to bind your agency to a contract with DIR should your response be successful upon completion of negotiations. The itemized pricing sheet. Please use the template provided. Do not submit your own pricing list. Follow the instructions on tab 1 and upload the Excel spreadsheet provided. Please do not convert this to a PDF as it delays the negotiation process. And vendor references. You can send these directly from your email, but they must be returned to DIR from the customer by the date and time stated on the reference form. You can also send these out from your bid stamp to your customers. If you use this option, you will not be able to see if the customer sent the reference form back to DIR. So please just make a note of that. Next slide. We're continuing required response documents. Exhibit G is a respondent release of liability for reference. This is a release of liability from yourself as the respondent to your client, but this is given to DIR with your response. Exhibit H, your EDGAR certification form. Exhibit I, your PDAA. Exhibit J, your ACR. And Exhibit K, your VATS, if applicable. And then this one, I believe Marie already stated that this is not applicable unless you do development services, at which point we would have to ask you for one, or our customer would. Manufacturer letters of authorization for all brands proposed, they must be signed. And any signed addenda for the RFO. Please note you also have to create a pricing form in Bidstamp. This information should come from your Exhibit E itemized pricing sheet. Next slide. Rejection of responses. Section 3.9 of the RFO states that DIR has the sole discretionary authority and reserves the right to reject any and all responses received as a result of this RFO. Responses that do not comply with the mandatory submission requirements may be rejected. In addition, DIR reserves the right to accept or reject in whole or in part any responses submitted and to waive minor technicalities when in the best interest of the state. I will turn it back over to Julia for the questions in the break.
Okay, thank you, Alexis. We'll take a quick break, and if you have any questions you would like to submit, please add to the questions tab. So we'll see you back here in 10 minutes. Thank you.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We are going to go ahead and go over the questions. So, first question is, when is the expected contract to begin? Julie?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, it should be, I think the estimated time would be around October or November, if I'm not mistaken. Stephanie, do you have another date on when we think it would be awarded, or you think you could help with give me some I am not really sure when the contracts, I don't think they expire until the current contracts expire in September and October.
So typically the contracts will start at the date of execution. And I think if the current contracts that we have in place are expiring in September sometime, then the new contracts will probably be starting in October.
Thank you, Alexis.
No problem.
Okay, next question. When will the answers to the questions already submitted be received?
The estimated date for them to be posted and would be around April 19th is the estimated date.
Okay, accessibility. If VADSIR, I hope I said that right, VADSIR, is not applicable, does the respondent leave it blank or list not applicable?
They can either submit it with an NA on there for not applicable, or just don't submit it at all. We already are aware that it's out of scope. The only time we would need it if at some point during the contract life cycle there are some development services needed. So they can either submit it with NA or not submit it at all.
Okay, perfect. For Exhibit E, a respondent can include a category description with a subcategory name and description, with the discount and the link for list MSRP instead of line items over 30,000 for products, correct?
This is my first time doing the pricing schedule or the pricing itemized. Alexis, have you had that? Have you had a question like that before, where the list MSRP?
Hey, Julia, we'll provide them a written response for this in the written questions when we post to the ESBD.
Okay, thank you so much.
This is Stephanie. If you're able to group the whole category by category, because it's all HP branded, so it's all going to be the same brand, and we do expect that you're going to have different discounts provided across different products within the brand. If you're able to group them by category, that is fine. You just also will need to be able to provide the detailed list, but of your products on your, if you're awarded a DIR contract, on your DIR website.
Okay, next question. The RFO states third-party products are only available for software or integrated into the product. If a respondent has offered third-party hardware that is complementary to of the HSP branded PC products, can a respondent provide for that consideration?
You can submit it for consideration and may or may not be awarded depending on how it works with the particular product, but you are able to submit those for consideration.
Okay. I believe the Exhibit G question was answered. The next one, will a letter of authorization from HP Inc. suffice for all HP wholly owned subsidiaries and products? For example, Polycom.
So the letter of authorization from HP needs to authorize the vendors who are going to be awarded prime contracts the ability to sell HP products and or services through a DIR contract. If you're working directly with HP to be on their contract, we don't need that. It's only if you're going to be submitting for a prime contract on your own that you need to submit the manufacturer letter of authorization. If HP only allows you to sell a subsidiary or a part, that needs to be in the letter of authorization as well.
Okay. Next question, will the current contract be extended if the new contracts are not finalized yet?
That one we won't know until we get closer to the expiration date for that contract, and that's a different group within DIR that would be in charge of that. That's the contract management office, and we're the procurement office.
Okay, next question, is this RFO open to the OEM and to all the authorized resellers, reseller order fulfillers?
It's open to the manufacturer and any of the authorized resellers that the manufacturer has provided a letter of authorization for that specific reseller to be a prime vendor under DIR with their own DIR contract.
Okay, I believe that is all the questions. I will now turn it back over to y'all.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Stephanie, as well, for answering the questions, and Alexis. I appreciate that. The questions answered today are unofficial until posted on ESBD. Submit additional questions through Bitstamp portal. Reminder, questions answered today are unofficial until posted to ESBD in the form of an addendum. Any changes or additional information regarding this RFO will be posted as an addendum to requisition number DIR CPO TMP 589 on ESBD at the link. It is the responsibility of vendors to monitor the ESBD website for addendums. Next slide. Again, here's the solicitation schedule. Again, I will be submitting an addendum to extend the deadline for submitting questions to April 15th at 5 p.m. Central Time. I will send that out today. So if you have any other questions, please submit them through the portal. Next slide. And in closing, all questions and queries must be directed to myself, Julia Klingeman, at julia.klingeman@dir.texas.gov. This concludes our meeting for today. Thank you all so much for attending the meeting. We appreciate it. Have a great day.